everyone. I'm Deborah Sharmalus with Technically, a news organization that serves a community of technologists and entrepreneurs. Today, ahead of our May 10th Developers Conference, we'll be talking about the role of media and technology with Sarah Foss from Odyssey. We're releasing this series of technical talk videos in the lead up to the Technically Developers Conference as a part of Philly Tech Week presented by Comcast. Sarah, passing it over to you. Excited to hear your expertise on the topic.
Hey, thanks so much, Deborah. And hello, Technically Philly. This is the first time Odyssey has actually participated, and we are incredibly excited. So let me first tell you a little bit about Odyssey, and then I'm going to bring in one of my close colleagues who I work with, and we want to talk about where technology is going in media. So who the heck is Odyssey? Audacy is one of the premier audio companies in the United States. We not only have radio stations across the country, we have the two premier podcasting production companies, we have a sports betting company, and we host events and concerts every year, especially now that we're back from the pandemic. So when we think about audio, it's the big A audio. We are sending it to your cars, to your smart speakers. We are sending it to a website. We are sending it to your mobile device. We are all audio all the time. But that's not just music. That's a lot of spoken word. We have news stations. We have sports stations. We have play-by-play networks. And we've even started a video network that has a couple different shows. One, how to find a podcast in the incredible thousands of podcasts that exist, and another on how to bet smarter for those of you who might actually enjoy sports betting. So Odyssey itself has a legacy in media, but what we've done over the past 5 years is continue to change and innovate because media is now everywhere. Media is a way for us to be entertained, to be informed, to have important dialogue, or sometimes just to hear the game while you're walking the dog or making dinner. So technology is truly the underpinning for a lot of what we are doing here at Odyssey. And as the company's first CTO, it is a lot of fun and we are doing a lot of interesting things. But that's why I need to have someone come join me and talk about how we actually are doing those things. So I'm ecstatic. Hey, Kevin Greenwald, thanks so much.
Hey, Sarah.
So you are the VP. I know we couldn't fit your whole title in this, but you are heavily focused on technology.
That's right.
Okay. Also former Comcaster?
Also correct.
So first off, what does technology mean to you in the context of media? How do you put those two things together?
Yeah, I think nowadays they're almost totally inseparable. I think the way that we consume all forms of media has changed dramatically. You and I know that well from, working more on the TV side of things at Comcast, and it's no different in audio. We have a completely, relatively new form of media and podcasts that's growing exponentially each and every year in terms of the number of users and people that are engaging with it. Mm-hmm. And it's a great way to consume information, to entertain yourself. There's a podcast for just about everything out there. And that is a form of media that totally sprung from technology, essentially. The ability to be delivered digitally to any device or speaker at any time that you want.
Mm-hmm. I think that's one of the things that's been really fun for you and I to discover about audio is how much technology really is at the core, especially when we think about how ubiquitous, how audio is everywhere, right? Like we can listen to our favorite radio station or the next podcast. We can binge them from a smart speaker or walking the dog. So when you're looking at technologies for us to consider here at Odyssey, what are some of the important things that matter for you when evaluating technology in the context of Odyssey?
Yeah, so one of the interesting parts of my job here is I work very closely with your team and our product team, and helping them, develop new ways for consumers to discover audio content, and new ways to engage with audio content. So the things that I look for are, how can we bring really unique experiences to consumers that are helping them find the content that they want, making sure that their experiences with our content and the content of our partners are enriching, and valuable, that their time is, we're making the best use of their time by giving them the best content that we can. And also, what are exciting new ways to interact with it? I think one of the things we're excited about is like voice technology and how we use voice technology to engage with audio content. And that's something we've been, exploring quite a bit. And I just think there's so many, there's so many people that have come into this space that are doing new and exciting things. And, I enjoy having the opportunity to meet with those companies and learn about what they're building and think about ways that we can work with them, to either help ourselves go faster or just bring new ideas and new experiences to our customers.
Okay, so you brought up one of my favorite, which is voice technology, but now you have to give an example. So what does it mean to use voice technology in the context of audio?
Yeah, so I think so far what that's meant, at a very basic level for most of our industry is, the consumer has gotten very used to going to their smart speaker and saying, hey, turn on such and such radio station. And when we look at our radio listening, a huge percentage of our listening already has moved in that direction. And the smart speaker in a lot of ways has replaced home radios very quickly. But I think, the things that we look at doing now, to continue to innovate and build upon that are how can we have an interactive experience with the customer where, they're calling not just a radio station, but a specific topic, or a specific show to get audio content directly, or even, engaging with an advertiser. So we can create an advertising experience where a brand talks about a new, maybe a new vehicle that they have coming out and gives the consumer the opportunity to interact with them to learn more about it.
So what you're talking about is all of the ways that we at Odyssey are also trying to make sure that the right content or content that's important to you, which is different than me. I mean, let's be real. Here we go. We got to double down on the fact that you as a Buffalo fan living in Philly want content from Buffalo. I don't. I want to stay focused on my Flyers. So, although maybe I shouldn't be. How do you see technology that we're embedding in our content make you as a Buffalo fan find things more, find things faster that is more relevant to you when I don't care about it?
Yeah, I think where we want to take things, when I think specifically about the Odyssey app, I think where we're hoping that goes is I launch the app in the morning and the latest, Bills stories are right at my fingertips. Whether that's an interview with, Josh Allen from the morning show on Buffalo Sports Talk Radio, or a segment from national news about, the draft picks that the Bills made. And maybe that's followed up with, other content I want. Maybe there's a new album release and the single from that album of an artist I like is there at my fingertips as well. I think the more we can create that personalized experience that gives consumers what they want, at the right moment, that's exciting. And that's all technology, that's going to make that happen.
It is. And I think that it also is elevating. I mean, when I talk to my daughter about what we do here, she doesn't even use the word radio anymore, right? I mean, it's audio, but
Yep.
There's live, there's not live, right? And either one, she wants access to at any given point. So with that, what are some of the really interesting new pieces of content that you're seeing us create through technology? Not just the personalization and making sure that it bubbles up to your app, as you know, on your homepage, but what are some of the other things that you think are really innovative?
I think one thing that I'm seeing increasingly, both, it's something that we've been working on, but I see a lot of companies working on it now, is new ways to discover podcasts. I think, as you mentioned, Sarah, I mean, there's just millions of episodes
every day
of content from podcasts out there. And there are new creators popping up all the time. And as a consumer, trying to find what you want and what you like is really, really hard. Mm-hmm. And one of the ways that I see a lot of people using technology to aid in that discovery, a lot of companies seem to be taking a short form approach where they take an entire podcast and use technology to take that speech and turn it into text and create a transcription, and then identify the key topics in like an hour-long episode of audio that might be relevant to a particular user, which enables you to make the content a little more searchable because you can tag it with all of that data that another application can search it, and you can identify segments of a podcast that might be relevant to you. And that would aid a consumer without having to listen to an hour-long episode. They might listen to it and say, well, I'm going to skip to the next thing. Or they'll listen to it and say, hey, I want to hear more. And they go into that podcast and actually become a follower or subscribe to it. And it becomes part of their regular diet of things that they listen to.
Mm-hmm. I think that what's fun to me about that is it's making it like TikTok, right? I mean, I think what we want are good nuggets. Sometimes I do want to listen to a whole podcast, or a whole game. Sometimes I just want the highlights. Yep. So what you're talking about is how we're embedding technology to, in essence, be able to give me that nugget or that highlight that allows me to either ingest and enjoy for the time I've got, or even forward it on, right? So yep. From an engagement perspective, though, I think most people think about good old-fashioned radio as nothing but I'm listening. I don't get to talk unless I pick up the phone and call into a talk show. What are some of the technologies that you're looking at so that we can engage and we can have dialogue that doesn't include a phone?
Sure. I mean, one of the really exciting things that we're doing here is a listen live feature that we've been working on testing and developing for our app, which will enable, either our podcast content hosts or our radio hosts to create a live experience in our app whenever they want. They can put a notification out to their followers on Twitter and say, hey, the NFL draft happened tonight. I want to talk about it. Let's go live in the app. And anyone can come in and join that conversation with them. And gives them the ability to communicate and engage with their audience and their fans in new ways, digitally.
Mm-hmm. I think the other fun thing that I've been seeing is some of the stations really start to experiment now with NFTs for that same thing. If I just did an interview with the number one draft pick, can I create something where someone actually does say, yep, no, I want that token. That token's now going to be on my phone. That's now going to be my ringtone. That's going to be something yep. that makes it really, so everyone listening goes, oh my God, I didn't know you were a fan of some of those things. Because I think sports really, for me, when I got here at Odyssey, is such a big part because of how much we actually talk about sports, how much we read about sports, how much the interviews about sports are important. Did you know how much sports we did here at Odyssey before you got here?
I did not, but it's a highlight.
It is, especially since we both are sports fans. I think the other thing is that you've really helped us grow by thinking about the partnerships or the companies that we can work with that have technology we want to put into our platform. How would you describe, though, our tech team and the things it does?
Yeah, I think, we have a really collaborative team. And, through, obviously we're all very excited about the acquisition we made last year to bring on the Amperwave team. And we now have a really talented group of people who, have built sort of the underlying infrastructure. And there's a great partnership between them and our teams that are building the consumer experiences. And I think the collaboration that we have here from all our technologists is just really exciting and leads to a lot of innovations. But I'd be curious to hear how you would answer that.
I think we're a new team, right? I mean, for a lot of people listening here, technically, folks, we actually have 4 different development organizations across the country. We use one offshore team. We actually have an entire team of data scientists. I'm going to put a pin in that because I want to go back and ask you about data since that's so important. But we're also embedding technology about how do you stream, how do you create content. So what is the role of technology in creating that podcast? What is the role in translating that podcast into different languages? How are we making sure that the games can be heard wherever they are, or that news content, especially when it's a national event, starts in DC, but anyone across the country can access that really quickly. So I think from my perspective, it's taking media and really just making it not only accessible, but from a technology perspective, giving us the access and the ways to work with producers and talent and celebrities in ways that a lot of other companies don't get a chance to do because we just are developers, right? Yep. But data's a big one, because I think even if we go back to the example of, I want to know about the Flyers, you want to know about the Bills, what kind of data activities do you see us doing here? And where do you think that fits in the role of next generation media?
So, we've, as you well know, Sarah, we've built a tremendous infrastructure for our data and to house our data. And now we sort of have this gigantic infrastructure, and we need to fill it with all the data that we can capture and utilize to, create personalized experiences, to better understand our listeners and, what is valuable to them. What are the things that we put in front of them that capture their attention and that keep them listening and that, that bring joy to them. And that's the ultimate goal. So I think, the more we can understand, that everything they do in our app, how they, whether they like things, whether they skip things, how do they search for things, and what are the topics they search for, the things they tell us they like in the app, whether it's their sports teams or our stations and things like that, and how we learn from those behaviors and kind of model them and use that data to project others and create valuable experiences for other listeners. That's certainly how I think about it.
Yeah, I also think that the data scientists that are on our team really enjoy playing with not only just how do you actually get really deep insights into what content is working. So does this one particular song play better during certain hours of the day than another one? And we've done that type of research, right? I mean, it's deep research into understanding across the country. If we're talking about country music, is it more important to have a Luke Bryan interview or a Carrie Underwood interview? And how does that experience translate into a digital one? Mm-hmm. Is it because it's a video interview? Is it because we get to clip it and share that? So I think that the data science team really now looks at themselves as an extension of content creators and programmers, which again is just such a really different way of thinking of technologists here, because again, we're a media company that's now accelerating how we get really great stuff to listen to and to be entertained with because of all of the technology investments. So big question. Are we investing in technology? And how do you think technology is viewed here at Odyssey on our growth plan?
I mean, we are investing in technology without question. We've made significant investments in technology over the last few years, and we continue to. That's part of what made me come here. It was very clear to me during the interview process that was the case. And to me, given my role and the things, and anyone can imagine I work on, that's what you want to see, and that's what you want to be a part of. So the company is going through a massive digital transformation, which is really exciting. It's really challenging at times, but they're really fun challenges, and we continue to invest. And I'm excited about the types of things we're working on, the problems we're trying to solve, and everyone is very committed to tackling these challenges.
Mm-hmm. I think the other thing for me is that was really gratifying is not just how much investment we've made in the people, in the tools, in the training, it just even in the partners that you've been able to bring on. But last year during our quarterly earnings, when our CEO and our CFO both talked about how Audacy is a technology company, I thought, okay, we've hit the big time.
Yep.
That technology is really a driver of media. So quick question before the final one, metaverse. And if we're an audio company, are we playing in the metaverse, Kevin?
Yes, we are. Right now it's still early stages, and I don't think we have a great sense of what it ultimately is going to be and what it will ultimately mean for companies like ours. But I think we will be playing around. We'll be conducting some experiments so we can learn and identify where there's meaningful opportunity for our company, where consumers, where we can find our consumers and meet them where they want to be and give them the content that they want from us.
Mm-hmm. I know you said that investment was one of the reasons you came, but final question, actually two final questions. So lightning round. In one word, how would you describe working at Audacy?
Exciting.
Your favorite radio station at Audacy?
You know that one. The WGR from Buffalo, my sports talk station.
It was a softball. This is a lightning round. And what's your favorite podcast that we're doing here at Audacy that you enjoy?
So my favorite one, I think, since I've started, would have to be it's a year old, but Winds of Change.
That was a great one. Yeah,
which was a really fun kind of conspiracy theory podcast. It was entertaining.
Well, I think it's great that you were able to help me, I think, articulate where technology is really moving. I think not just Audacy, but the media industry forward. But for those of you in the technically audience, we have developers, we have data scientists, we have data engineers, we have business analysts, we have strategic analysts, we have product management, we have DevOps, we have IT and networking roles all open right now, because I think we really are seeing how Audacy is leading the charge for transforming media based on how we're leveraging technology. So thanks, Kevin, for helping kind of clarify that for those folks. And we hope if anyone is interested in learning more about Audacy, that you do so. We'll be around during Tech Week, but otherwise, enjoy the resources, enjoy the training, and thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you for that incredible insight. For anybody who's watching, if you want to connect to Audacy and any of our incredible organizations, we hope to see you May 10th at PerPay for the IRL portion of this event. Have a wonderful day.